Good evening. Today is November 4th, and we are entering the Rochester Board of Education work session. At this time, I would like to entertain a motion. The board may exit, into executive session to recess to discuss proposed pending or current litigation, matters leading to the appointment or removal of a particular corporation, and/or to receive the advice of general counsel as permitted by Section 105 of the Open Meeting Law. May I entertain a motion for executive session at this time?
Motion.
Moved by Vice President Malloy, seconded by Commissioner Griffin. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? At this time, the board will temporarily move into executive session. Thank you for your patience and welcome back to the Rochester City School District Board of Education November 4th work session. We are continuing with the meeting. At this time, we are considering resolutions. At this time, I would like to entertain a motion with the board to amend resolutions 205 and 206, as you'll see noted there, and amend them to read as 205A and 206A. And the reason for this amendment is that these two, the resolutions 205 and 206 were previously used in a prior meeting under those numbers for different pieces. So we want to make sure we delineate the numbers by going by 205A and 2056. May I have entertain that motion?
So moved.
Moved by Vice President Malloy, seconded by Commissioner Patterson. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it, and resolutions 205 and 206 are now 205A and 206. Also, you'll see noted here under the Resolution D, this is Resolution 254, should I say, I'd like to entertain a motion to waive the 48-hour rule for Resolution 254.
Where is that on here?
Motion by Commissioner Patterson. Seconded by Commissioner Griffin. All in favor of waiving the 48-hour rule for Resolution 254? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. 48-hour rule has been waived. And so at this time, I'd like to entertain a motion for Resolutions 205,
205A.
205A, thank you, and 205 and 206A. We waived to call them 205 and 206A, but we didn't vote on, we don't need to vote on them. They're from the.
You were waiving for 254.
Right. So let me get some clarity. Give me one moment, and I appreciate the patience. I want to get some clarity from the clerk. So for 205A and 206A, they have already been voted on. This has been found as well. So the actual resolutions were voted on. We just needed to rename them.
Yes.
Okay, understood. So that has already been taken care of. That was my misunderstanding. And so at this time, I'd like to entertain a motion for Resolution 254.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Patterson, seconded by Vice President Malloy. All in favor of Resolution 254? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, Resolution 254 carries. Okay, we're going to refresh our screen at this time.
That's fine. Okay. Thank you.
I'm just bringing our technical screen back up. Uh-oh, did it work? Here we go. Okay, we're going to be moving into the board discussion items. And at this time, I'm going to turn the mic over to our board clerk for the policy 2325 video conferencing.
Good evening. Thank you, President Simmons. So just really quickly, as a recap, before we get into the final two items, at this time, the attached policies, you all, at least 4 commissioners, has agreed to move forward the preamble, the extraordinary circumstances regarding to caregiving section, notifying the district clerk via the board's email of the need to video conference, and the accountability and review section. So if you look at the 2 attachments, both track changes and clean copies that are on board docs, you'll see highlighted yellow what I'm referring to in this slide. And then items not added due to lack of consensus were the number of commissioners allowed to video conference at one time and the number of meetings a commissioner is allowed to video conference. And so tonight, the next 2 sections are items that need further discussion. The first one is section 2, video conferencing under extraordinary circumstances, locations not open to the public. So I won't read the left side, but for the right side, as of August 12th work session, when it comes to disability, there were mixed recommendations from commissioners. Commissioners should be in person, some felt. Some felt that this accommodation is similar to how staff with disabilities could have work flexibility. At the time, General Counsel had advised that there could be implications. And so the question here tonight is, do the board want to move forward with this section on disability?
Okay, thank you. So as I look at slide 5 and I consider what General Counsel advised us around, I do align, and so I would reject adopting the language from NISBA. I think it does take us into a space. I would like to be more distinct around what extraordinary circumstances are. So when I'm thinking about it, and I don't know if we as a board would agree or not, but I'm thinking of being ill. There is some form of disability, be it temporary, but I don't want to adopt the disability language. There could be these emergency caregiving things. I think it's about, for me, it's more around using it as a regular nuanced without it being documented, understood. Like, for example, video conferencing should not be used because you're on personal vacation and you're deciding to chime into a board meeting. You have work schedule conflicts. You got to make some adjustments. Personal preference, I just choose to leave early. I don't think those are qualifying indicators for video conferencing. And so I'd like to maybe list those things that, as far as language for extraordinary circumstances versus adopting the NISBA policy as it is. So personal illness or medical condition, disability or related accommodation is needed, caregiving responsibilities. And again, these are things that would be constituted, and as we go on, this will make sense. Significant unexpected event or emergency, because we cannot qualify for that. Maybe there's severe weather or travel, and that's, so that's what I think or government mandated. We had COVID before, right? So it was government mandated. And there are other things that we're seeing in today's day and time that may constitute the need for some things. So I think that language kind of leaves us loose, but I'd like to hear from my other board colleagues on their thoughts around that. Okay? Okay.
Can you hear me? I'd like more clarification from council, relative to the second bullet on the right-hand side. General counsel advised there could be implications. Could you clarify that a little bit more for me? What's below that? What the implications could be?
So the the issue is that the Commissioner of Education could overturn decisions made by fewer than 4 members present. So any decisions that were made during the board would be null and void at the time that those decisions are made. So to avoid having to repeat any decisions that are made in a meeting where there is not a sufficient number of members, this suggested language would ameliorate that.
Yeah. So, thank you for that, General Counsel. Commissioner Patterson, if I may address you. Yes, so for example, right now, there's literally just 4 of us here. So we just made quorum by us 4 being here. If we adopted this language and I fell under the disability and we said, hey, well, Commissioner Simmons is on Zoom, she has a disability, she qualifies, and it's just 3 folks at the dais, and we then make a decision, and that decision is challenged, you can guide me, that decision gets challenged, and they say, you know what, that disability that she said doesn't really even qualify, that can get overturned. And so instead of having us go down that road, I'd think that it might be prudent for us to maintain being in person like we expect.
Okay.
Commissioner Griffin?
I agree.
Yes, I might have missed something, but I just wanted to say in reference to this video thing, to me is clearly a waste of time, and I say it for this reason. Before COVID, we had strict rules where people had to be present. The school board is the only elected officials that are having a problem with video conferencing. Everybody else shows up, and when they don't show up, they are addressed. But we're putting too much time in things that should go back to the way they were before COVID. I mean, they're making everything a COVID issue, and I think that if everybody else, as an elected official, can come back in and be present, why can't we? We are adults here. We took oath of office. We know what we're supposed to do. Why are we hand holding people? And we shouldn't do this. It wasn't there before. Everybody else got rid of it, but we're still dealing with video conferencing. It's a clear waste of time for me. I think that it's something that if other elected officials that meet don't have a problem with then why are we still beating a dead horse on this? For me, that's
Yeah,
just for me
I appreciate
personally.
your comments. General Counsel, are you able to give a bit of the history as to why video conferencing still exists for multiple school boards across the nation?
I can't speak to other school districts.
That's
and
okay.
their
We'll do
policies.
some research. And so, yeah, it is unfortunate that we are visiting it, but this is where we are. And so something that we should do to be prudent. And so not a waste of time in my opinion, but I do appreciate yours. At this time, I do want to promote that language. And so again, for the clerk's purpose, I think those are some of the things that qualify as extraordinary circumstances. We can put language in that may allow for breathing, but vacations, personal travel, personal preference, and scheduling conflicts don't necessarily qualify for regular video conferencing. It just shouldn't be a regular thing. You had a question?
You're talking to me. So what I was going to suggest, the policy, based on some of the examples you gave, that you feel should be extraordinary circumstances already listed, based on the language you all agreed upon at the last meeting. Disability is not one of them. What we could do is I can come up with a sentence, just like the other examples, to add in here, so that when you all get to your second reading, it's there for you to consider the language, because the other stuff is already listed.
Okay. Okay, so I think that might be something to just know that we have it in there so that we can reference it. Now, I know that you mentioned that the board clerk piece was something that we agreed upon. I would like to revisit that, but I can wait to the end so that you can continue with this piece. Sorry? Commissioner Griffin?
I just wanted to clarify for the listening public and for the record. When I say a waste of time, it's a waste of time that we're putting so much time into this. I know there has to be clearly some parameters around the video conferencing, but basically I'm saying the way it was, it should be. You know, it would be prior to COVID. So I just want to be clear on that for the listening public and for the record. I agree with what you're saying to put the parameters on it, but I think we spent too much time on it.
That's wonderful,
Okay,
and I appreciate
thank
your
you.
comments.
You're
So,
welcome.
Clerk Nguyen, Travis, go ahead.
Okay, so the next section is Section 3, temporary mutant board members utilize a video conference.
Say that again? Section 3?
Yeah.
Okay,
So this will be a brand-new section that isn't currently in there.
gotcha.
So again, feedback from August 12th. People have the right to share their views but not disrespect each other. Would like the decision to be made regarding the proposed policy language with thinking of oneself in mind. Do not want to be a trigger or weaponized mechanism. Take the conversation to CGCS for advisement. General counsel explained the potential of viewpoint discrimination instead of decorum, which is unlawful, and highlighted that the proposed policy language has an automatic appeal. So there's technically 3 paragraphs, so we can take it 1 paragraph at a time. That would be helpful, or you can discuss it all together.
Okay, so the first paragraph I tend to agree with as far as I think there should be a warning, that, I don't think we automatically do it. That's the one thing. And I think that we have to be explicit about not having viewpoint-based. So this needs to be content. So the only purpose in which a commissioner would be potentially muted is based on decorum, which are things that we already have per our policy. And so that interruption of quorum being speaking out of turn, right? where our general counsel has to say you haven't been called on, disrupting the meeting, using abusive or threatening language or excessively loud language, like we've had examples, and this is not to personalize, I'm just speaking factually at this point, so I'm hoping that it is taken in the spirit of this discussion, where we've had folks literally arguing through the Zoom. And so these are things that are just not things I'd like to visit long-term. I'd like to have something in place. So those are pieces that are content or behavior-based and not viewpoint-based. So if someone is talking about the sky is green versus blue, I don't agree. I don't have the right, no one has the right to mute that person from their viewpoint. But behavior-based is the context in which I'm referring to this policy. And so if we could be explicit around behavior-based and using those examples that I did share, disrupting meetings, abusive language, threatening, and screaming, that will constitute that you should be muted. And the second piece to that is if we can't get that under control, we may have to take a brief recess to figure that out. Hold on one second. I see your hand, Commissioner Santiago. Did you get that? Okay, Commissioner Santiago?
Yeah, my recommendation is that it be a vote instead of just a decision on the chair of the meeting to possibly prevent a situation as you just explained from happening. So instead, it should be 4 members of the board who agrees to mute or disconnect a member, which I see some conflicts in, and I don't know if it's true or not, but I mean, at the same time, being muted and kicked off of a meeting that we were duly elected to be in, right? And I'm not saying, you know, for decorum or for not, but it sounds like there might be issues with that individually too. But I do believe that it should be a vote instead of just the chair's decision.
Well, let me be explicitly clear. This did not indicate that you would be kicked out of the meeting. You would still have the opportunity to vote and be part of the meeting. But however, if one cannot conduct themselves during that meeting without interrupting, yelling, screaming, or disrespecting their colleagues, then they will be muted. But to your point, Commissioner Santiago, there's no appetite to have that person removed. I mean, unless they just can't, you know, continue. And that's where the recess would come in. But
Well, then
So
my
I-
recommendation would be to remove the end of this sentence because at the end it says disconnect the member's connection, which means disconnect the member's connection from the meeting. So it says exactly what you're saying. It doesn't say.
Yeah, no, I'm not in agreement with that. So, yeah, I agree with not disconnecting them out of there. I'm not talking about that policy. I'm proposing some different thoughts. So I have like my own notes here. And so, no, I would not want them. So what I do agree with is the first paragraph on that piece that you're looking at. But I said the rest of it I don't necessarily align with. And then I proposed what I do think might be more beneficial, which is the muting only under behavior-based things like we're not aligned or following Robert's rules. And so, yeah, we wouldn't be disconnecting anyone necessarily.
So if I can make the recommendation for that part to be removed, because it says clear and date, disconnect the member's connection. And so I can only guess that that's from the meeting. So that's my recommendation. Thank you.
Yeah. Do we have any other comments there?
Yes, we do.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I missed you. Go ahead.
Thank you. I would agree with that. I think the language to disconnect a member's connection is not appropriate. We're all elected and should be here making decisions, so I wouldn't support that, but I do support temporarily muting people so that we can facilitate the meeting.
Right, that's exactly what I'm saying. So we're all in agreement to strike that second part of the piece as far as disconnecting. So we see it, we're in alignment with why and how a person should be muted. I think I would like what Commissioner Santiago suggested as far as maybe we go ahead and do a vote so it's kind of clear. And I do want to say that muting shall not prevent a member from voting or participating when recognized. So in other words, we'll mute when we need to, if we ever need to, and then, but that person will remain on video conferencing. It will not dictate that they're removed. Yes.
I'm just seeking clarity on the suggestion to take a vote. Would we be taking a vote to mute the person? I'm just thinking to actual circumstances and the speed that sometimes our chair has to move. If we have to take the time to motion a vote to mute someone, there's a lot that can happen in that amount of time. So I'm wondering, Is that what we're asking for, is to take a vote to mute someone, or, I'm not
So
clear
you
on
know what,
that.
I think the chair should just go ahead and make that decision, and it can be appealed if need be, but let's keep it at the chair. But I do think when it's time to go to recess, we can vote for that. But Commissioner Santiago, go ahead.
So it says on here, direct the board staff to do that. And the board staff isn't an individual board member's staff. So that includes for the chair, like the staff, the board staff is staff for the entire board or the majority of the board at least, minimum.
Okay, I just didn't see you guys. Thanks for giving
And
me
so to direct the board staff, it shouldn't just be one board member's decision. It should be a collective decision from the board. And I know it's fast moving situations, but if you can recess the meeting, you can also call a vote to mute one of the board members.
Possibly. And so, Commissioner Patterson, did you need me?
Yes, I just want to weigh in. So again, I think that, again, as the Vice President said, to keep things moving along, the President should be allowed to mute that individual and keep the meeting moving. And then we go to paragraph number 2 if you can't resolve the issue. But I don't think we have to have a vote personally, just to mute an individual when they're being very disruptive, as we've seen in other meetings.
So I think the part of the piece is, so in real time, like right here, we are in a physical meeting. We cannot mute any member, but we have had meetings where passions get very high, right? We have a strong position on something, and we may not follow decorum, and so we're talking out of turn, and we don't have the ability to mute in that instance, but we do have the ability to recess. What I don't want to experience is the Wizard of Oz, what I call it, which is folks, it's very glaring to hear people talking, and imagine someone yelling over this piece. It's just, but I respect the position. So that's where I am with that's language, and we do have the authority and the right to vote where we don't agree. And this is not a resolute piece right now. There is still room to have further discussion, and I still agree with us maybe consulting CGCS for some of the pieces that we may not agree on. And I'm going to take one final piece on this.
I would just argue that as, when we elect a board chair, the role of the board chair is in our policy manual very clearly laid out, and the responsibilities during meetings for whoever is facilitating the meeting at that time. So I think that delegation of responsibility is already clearly laid out by the board. Our board president speaks on behalf of the board after gathering input from all board members. But their literal job is to facilitate meetings, and I think that this proposed policy language change is going to help us facilitate our meetings as laid out in our policies. Thanks.
So for now, again, what is this considered, the first or second readings? The second, right?
This is the first reading.
First reading, so there's still time if we need to go to it, but we need to get through this. And at this time, yes, that's how I would like it to read, if the board is amenable to it. And also, I'd like to make sure there's language around recess is the next piece if we can't do that. Did you have anything else on here, Ms. Clerk Travis?
The last paragraph, really, I'm pretty sure you all are okay with it. The technical difficulties, that last one.
Oh, like you hear talking in the background and things like that?
Yes.
Yes, but, yeah, and I think that's happened before, and I think for the privacy of the individual who may be having connectivity issues, and, I certainly would like to protect people in that regard, so I support that final paragraph. Anyone else?
I agree.
Okay, and then lastly, there was a piece where we had the piece around if you're going to be absent, that we would let the clerk know, that type of thing. Oh, wait a minute, we didn't do the online. How many times we missed meetings, right? Or how many times we were on here?
So at the, my recap was based on that conversation you all had last time.
Okay.
There wasn't a consensus of everyone agreeing upon one thing, so you all moved on from it, but of course you can come bring it back up, but that's where you left off at.
Yeah, so. So, again, I think to Commissioner Griffin's point, the commissioners are really expected to be here. We have the video conferencing policy, as many school boards do across the nation. But ideally, we should be here in person. The policy, again, that's why it states extenuating circumstances, so it was giving some grace. It was not designed for regular use. And so I do want to take a look at the number of times, if we can get some understanding around that. I think that, for me, I suggest no more than 5 meetings.
I think that's.
Commissioner Griffin?
I think that's really excessive. I think that 5 meetings is a lot. I think that I can see 2, but I can't see 5. I just don't think, I mean, for the most part, most of us are here at the meetings. So I don't think that's I think that's a disservice to the community, to people that put you in the seat.
Yeah. So, and I respect that. Just to give some understanding of the thought process, one thing I was considering is that if we look at our 2 scheduled meetings, we have work session each month, and we have a board meeting each month. We have some other meetings, but those are the 2 standing meetings that we know we're going to have. And if you're multiplying that by 12, that's about 24 meetings. So out of those 24 meetings, somewhere along the line, you could get sick, you could break your hip, whatever could happen. And I think that sporadically throughout that year, with 24 meetings, a meeting here, maybe there's another meeting somewhere else. 5 meetings might not be that, but do you have a number that you would suggest? You said 2. Commissioner Patterson, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, thoughts. I think we ought to look at other school districts, because I know of one that has 80,000 students, and they only have, I think it's 2 meetings a month. So I think we ought to, do our research behind why we're having so many meetings if we have a smaller school district, less than 20,000 students.
Yeah.
So I think we should look into that.
And so I do appreciate that. And for the purpose of this, I don't think anyone wants to talk about video conferencing when we have so many things. We have budget coming up. We have federal threats in front of us and very important things that we need to visit. But if we're not here to do it, and if it is causing quorum issues, we barely made quorum tonight. So as I stated in our last meeting, there's no reason we have an active attendance campaign asking students to be here for 5 days a week, and we can't be here as commissioners. At the end of the day, we have a policy, right? We're all about policy. This policy exists as it is, and so as it exists, we need to discuss this policy that is impacting us from being here the way we need to. So that is why this time is being dedicated to it, because it has to happen. I am thinking no more than 5.
Can I?
And then, did you have anything, Vice President Malloy or Commissioner Santiago?
I guess I would argue that it's no more than 2 times.
Any other thoughts?
Meet in the middle, 3.
Can I say this? I guess I'm looking at the dynamics of our district, and I'm looking at the teachers, and I'm looking at the custodians. I'm looking at everything that comes together in school and people if they weren't there. So I think that when they have to come, they have so many more days to be present, and we have teachers and custodians and paraprofessionals that don't miss a day. And we talk about 24 meetings when they don't miss a day. And they go to school every day to serve our kids. And we sitting up here going back and forth about how many days somebody can't be here to a meeting that people elected them for. I think it's really speaks for itself. If you don't want this job, then don't run to be elected. I think 2 is sufficient. That's my opinion. Because we have to serve this community. We are in a state of emergency with our district. And right now, it's us that have to make hard decisions sometimes to make sure that the district is going in the right direction. So for me, if the teacher and the custodian, the paraprofessional, everybody else can get there, we should be able to get there too.
I agree with that, and I appreciate it, and I think the majority of commissioners do like that. And so, you know what? We can do the 2. Commissioners may not attend more than 2 scheduled meetings annually, or they, through video conferencing, unless extraordinary circumstances are verified. So I think having that clause in there will allow for if something comes up, so you may need 3, you may need 5, and if you have that extraordinary circumstance taking place, that will be allowable, but you just don't get to use it willy-nilly.
That was going to be my question, because the whole point of this policy is exactly for that. So this entire section is specific to extraordinary circumstances. So that's really when it should be used. And so I just wanted clarity on that. Are you all saying 2 meetings, even if extraordinary circumstances happen? Because that's what the purpose
Qualify
of this.
someone's extraordinary circumstances, but, so that's why I gave that other language earlier, Clerk Travis, is around, it's not personal vacation, it's not personal preference, it's not just because you feel like it tomorrow or yesterday. It's for extraordinary circumstances, and that's why I'm trying to be careful, because extraordinary circumstances are just that, and it's not necessarily for us to dictate how often that happens, but I think we need to put a number on that. So we're only in the first reading, so we can always revisit that. Right now, for the purpose of this conversation moving forward, we're going to go with the 2. It might turn into more, but we're going to go with 2 as that is stated, but I'd like to have the clause unless extraordinary circumstances are verified. Commissioner Santiago, I saw your hand. Oh, you could, okay. And was there anything else, Clerk Travis, was that it?
You mentioned the district clerk, and I brought it up on the screen.
Yeah, that's the last thing, and I'm done with this conversation. As far as just maintaining, so we recognize that we'll report to the district clerk. I do want it to be explicit that the clerk will maintain a record of video conferencing requests and approvals, because that may be part of audit and compliance pieces. They'll also maintain record of extraordinary circumstances or early departure. That must be documented in the meeting minutes, which is something I think you already do. But we do need to start having some kind of accountability around that.
Comments?
And so that's going to be the last of it. I'm going to give one last minute, and I'll give that last to yourself, Commissioner Patterson.
Yep.
Yeah.
For the life of me, I don't understand why, and I'm not even the president here, but why you wouldn't want to also be in on a CC to that. I don't know why any commissioner would want you, or a president will say, removed from that communication. So,
I'm not in agreement with that, I'm sorry. I have to.
Can we allow Commissioner Patterson to finish his thought, and then
I'm
we,
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
and then that's
I
going to be it.
apologize.
lost it, so I'm sorry.
Okay, well, we're going to conclude, because I said that was the last remark on that, so you suggest you'd like to have that in there. Go ahead and put it in, because we're only at the first reading, and we can revisit that. Add the CC and the president. Because what we're finding is before a meeting, we're counting commissioners to see if we're going to be able to have a physical meeting. So if there's a question around why we're having this conversation, it's because it is very, very difficult to have the meeting around the important conversations that we need to be conducting as far as business in this district if we don't have commissioners here to do it. Is that shameful? I don't think it needs to happen, and as I said last meeting, I think we have the ability to do better. I know I haven't missed a meeting. I think I've left one meeting early this year, but everyone doesn't have the same circumstances. So we do need to recognize that, but we need protocols in place. So with that said, do you have everything, Ms. Travis? I was going to call you Commissioner Travis. So does that conclude the conversation for this? Do we need to motion to move it forward out of the work session? And this would move toward the business meeting for second readings?
Correct. And then about the business meeting, all the languages you all said, will be some recommendations on moving forward.
Okay, so with that, I'd like to entertain a motion to move policy 2325 from the board work session to the business meeting.
So moved.
Moved by Vice President Malloy, seconded by Commissioner Patterson. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, what happened to my paper? Okay, we are going to move on to the multiple policies presentation. And so these are, just opening this up here. going to be policies, 4830.1 through policy 4772, it looks like there.
4765.
Yeah, I was just reading the top to the last one. Okay, so we have these policies. Were there any discussions on these policies?
Do you want me to presentation?
There is. Who's presenting this? Oh, you know what? I apologize. Ms. Ramos,
No, this,
it is for you to present on these presentations. Forgive me. I'm trying to look at two different
this for
things here.
me. President Simmons,
Yes.
this is the presentation for me to do for the policies.
I can't understand
This is
you.
for me to do for the policies.
This is for you to do? You're doing that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Are you okay with me moving forward?
please do.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so as President Simmons mentioned, this presentation is for policies 4765, 4772, 4830.1, and 4850. And as always, the policies follow the process, and we're currently at step 5, board work session. At this time, the cabinet and board staff weighed in on the policies. They were sent as part of the standard operating procedure to our district advisory groups as well. And so policy 4765, online learning and course correct, NESBA said that we have updated this policy to reflect state regulations on remote instruction during emergency school closures. As a result, our policy recommendations currently reflect NESBA's, as well as updating the name to online and remote learning and course correct. Graduation ceremonies 4772. NESBA said that we are clarifying that the district's obligations to provide special education and related services to students with disabilities until they turn 22 only applies to those students so classified under IDEA. And so we have updated our policy, clarified the superintendent's role in planning graduation ceremonies, prevented conflicts with board meetings, and affirmed the board's authority to approve or adjust dates, and then also added in NESBA's recommendation. The last two policies, 4830.1 and 4850, do not have any NESBA updates nor any significant changes. And so if these policies were moved forward out of this work session tonight, it will go through the readings per policy 2410 and scheduled to be voted on at the January business meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Clerk Travis. Okay. So I would like to, at this time, entertain a motion to forward the policies that were just visited, 4765, 4772, 4803.1, and 4850. Move those forward to the board work session.
Motion.
And were there any questions or discussion regarding those policies? I do like the graduation ceremony. I must say, I'm excited about that. And I know that logistically, it's probably a nightmare, but I'm hoping, I do know that it's hard being on the stage and you're celebrating some students, and then there's another graduation happening simultaneously, and you have to leave early. So if that's avoidable, that would be magnificent. With these on the table, all in favor of moving them to the board, out of the board work session?
Motion.
Second.
You guys already motioned.
Have
Aye.
an aye? Thank you. Any opposed? These policies carry. Okay, and now, thank you. We're going to turn the mic over for the legislative agenda priorities.
Thank you very much. So as we prepare for the 26-27 budget, it's going to be important that we solidify what our legislative priorities are going to be, and I'm going to have Chief Lopez lead the conversation. Chief Lopez?
Thank you, Dr. Rosser. Good evening, Commissioners. This year, we're starting the process earlier, so I'm excited that we have this conversation now. In the board docs document, you have last year's legislative priorities, last fiscal year's legislative priorities. As you can see, there are quite a number of priorities listed. We are looking at moving to a different format that focuses our legislative priorities, specifically aligned to our strategic plan by adopting one high leverage priority for each strategic area, thereby resulting in 5 legislative priorities. The challenge with the priorities, the way we've been presenting them, is that we've had some items that have been rolled over for multiple years with no movement forward. And so what we're trying to do is ensure that our priorities are specific to the strategic plan. And I want to advise you, as many of you are aware, with the Big Five organization, there are legislative priorities that are created there that impact all Big Five items. So there's an opportunity to influence some of those legislative priorities with that group to make sure that if there are any larger issues specifically related to legislation or charter schools or even foundation aid, that we have that group advocating for all Big Five districts. We are looking at having these finalized no later than January 13th, which is your work session for the month of January. And then we are looking at having a legislative breakfast on Friday, February 13th.
Thank you very much for that information. And thank you for that context. I'm hoping that we can have our priorities in alignment and down to, like, I think 3 and 5 are great numbers, and they're realistic numbers, and they demonstrate that there's actually priority there. So thank you. Did anyone have questions for Dr. Rosser regarding the legislative priorities? I'm going to start to my right, if you don't mind, with Commissioner Patterson.
Yeah, I don't know if it's specifically for the superintendent, but maybe it's everyone in the room, but for 4 years now, I've talked relative to the charter schools, and it says establish a moratorium and limit charter school expansion. I personally think that if I were a parent in the district, that I would want that choice to be mine and not for the school district to make that choice for me. I've always indicated that if we do our job as educators, as school board members, as a district, that the students will come back. You know, if we show increases in which we are, showing students reading on grade level, students graduating on time, students being college or career ready, we're going to draw the students back. If we make all our schools equal and equitable, have sports programs and band programs and choir and competition between schools, our students will come back. But to force, parents into coming back to the district, I don't think paying taxes that any parent should be forced, to come back to the district. They should be given that option. And again, I'm for public schools, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, I'm for parents having that right to make the decision, for their kid. And I don't think that the district should be forcing them into making the decision. Thank you.
Commissioner Patterson. And I do want to, I'm going to hear from Commissioner Santiago, and then I do want to just kind of share what we're looking to do here. So we're not going to necessarily discuss these now, but Commissioner, since I did open it up for a little discussion, Commissioner Santiago.
No, I just wanted to say that I agree with cutting it down to 5 priorities. It gives us more of a chance of what to focus on. And I do like that it's going to be centered around our strategic plan. So just wanted to say I agree. Thank you.
Vice President Malloy.
Thank you, and I agree with that as well, paring it down to 5. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And so I do want to just state that I'd like all of us, and this is including me, I strongly encourage us to just look at these recommendations and just come prepared to really prioritize there's a different one that's not on this list, but in the spirit of about 5 resolutions, come prepared to discuss what those 5 priority not resolutions, but legislative priorities would be. But this is a list from last year. And the reminder is that on Friday, February 13th, that is going to be our breakfast, legislative breakfast. So we'll have that then. Okay, we're going to move forward to the academics here. And we do have a presentation. Oh, well, there's a policy 6256 annual presentation, administrative supports. Oh, academics, I'm sorry. I'm looking at, I got to figure out how to do something different between these 2 papers. Bear with me. It's 7:04, though. We're doing good. We'll be okay. Okay, so thank you, Commissioner Santiago. Academics, there is a resolution for review, and these are, as I open it, resolutions 254 through 259. And so I'd like to entertain a motion, if I could bundle these for 254 through 259, with the understanding that we're going to discuss these first these will go to the consent agenda then after the discussion. Okay, gotcha. So let's open it for discussion, and with resolutions 254 through 259, do we have any discussions at this time? Commissioner Santiago.
Yeah, my question is just clarifying, and this might be to the clerk. But what is the reason that we've started going to the consent agenda, or this might be to you guys? I agree with it. I'm not saying anything against it, but I'm just wondering, like, what's our new reason why for going to this approach instead of how things used to be?
Were you asking the?
Whoever can
Oh,
answer.
okay.
So it's-
Yes, so under the Council for Great City Schools, they've worked with our board on, really, when you watch some other board meetings, you'll see where there's not all this discussion and hi and welcome and congratulations and thank you, and there's more of a understanding of what those items are. And so the work session allows us the opportunity to really work through the question and answer period, get clarity. And in between that time, we also have the board question log. We can submit things. So by the time we get to that board business meeting, we are actually handling the business of the board, and we have this stuff solidified. So still opportunity for discord and discussion, but that is primarily the purpose. Yes. Any other discussion on resolutions 254 through 259 at this time? Yes.
I'm sorry, so when you all decide to move it forward, I just want to clarify, 254 tonight was a walk-on resolution, so the number has been used. So what I would recommend is to make 254 in this current review packet, 254A.
Okay.
And keep all the other numbers the same, but just make that one specifically 254A.
Do I need to motion all of that?
Whenever you're done, at some point, you do need a motion at first before
Probably
you
forget
motion
by
move
the end of
forward.
the discussion.
Okay,
You might have to remind me.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. Any other discussion for resolution 254? I think that is regarding interpreters. And I did want to make sure I understood it right. I did look at the summary. This is for all language. I know that the Rochester City School District, we have tons of languages. Would this encompass all languages in the district, or?
Dr. Wright, would you be able to, because my understanding that it is, but can you verify if that is correct?
Okay. That is good. Thank you. Okay, with no further discussion or questions, resolutions 254 through 259,
Yeah, we have to change that
I'm
first.
going to go, thank you. So do I change, he said, I said I was going to forget, and you're like, she forgot. So I'll go ahead and do that now. For 254, I'd like to amend that modify that resolution to read as 254A, a motion from Commissioner Santiago, seconded by Vice President Malloy. All in favor of modifying 254 to read as 254A?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And at this time, I'd like to entertain Resolutions 254A through 259 to move forward to the consent agenda on the business meeting.
So moved.
Moved by Vice President Malloy, seconded by Commissioner Patterson. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. So now we're moving into the administrative supports, and there is, in fact, a presentation for the administrative supports. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Rosser. Thank you.
So thank you very much. As per our board policy 6256, the Board of Education, in order to ensure better fiscal oversight, directs the superintendent to submit a written report to the Board of Education on a quarterly basis, commencing on April 1st, 2021, of all newly awarded grants to the district. This policy was passed and approved and recently amended on April 29th, 2025. So this evening, to fulfill our requirements under this policy, we have Ms. Carrie Pecor, who will be providing a presentation for our annual grant report. Ms. Pecor?
Thank you. Good evening and greetings, commissioners. Thanks for having me tonight to present to you a summary of our grant administration in the 24-25 school year, and then a brief forecast of our grant administration for the 25-26 school year. Next slide, please. Yeah, you can go to the next one, please, Tom. Thank you. Okay, so as you know, our district uses 2 KPIs, or key performance indicators, to measure grant performance and administration of grants in the district. The first of those measures relates to the percentage of the district's budget that is comprised by grant dollars. The Council of Great City Schools suggests that grant funds comprise between 11 to 13% of the district's overall budget in any given fiscal year, and you can see that for the 24-25 school year, we were right in that range. Next slide, please. Within that 12% of grants that were administered within the 24-25 budget, the district held and administered 75 individual grants. Last year was the first year we started collecting this data, and as you can see, the large bulk of our grant funding was used to support supplemental academic programs in alignment with Priority 1 of the district's strategic plan, with provision of social-emotional supports coming in second. We intend to use this data moving forward as we assess the feasibility of pursuing grants within the district. It can be used to help inform our decision-making and to close funding gaps and be considered while we take into consideration need in the district and their alignment to any grant competitions that are open at any given time. Next slide, please. Thank you. So within the Rochester City School District, we have the Office of Grants and Program Accountability. And within that department, we have a comprehensive system of supports that's utilized to administer grant funding. So for each district leader, common nomenclature within our department is called the project lead, who's responsible for programs that are grant funded. The team in OGPA creates a grants portfolio, associated implementation plans for programs that are funded with grants, and then monitoring structures. So many times these project leads have multiple grants that uplift multiple programs at their schools or within their departments at the same time. The grant portfolio system lays out exactly which expenditures are funded in which grant, aligns expenditures within the grant to program goals, and then the implementation plans are created to keep staff on top of internal deadlines that are required to be followed for things such as purchasing, contracting, or funding programs with additional hourly pay, as well as external reporting deadlines, including programmatic and fiscal reports that are required to be submitted to the funder. So this comprehensive system supports project leads and takes some of the administrative tasks off of their plates so that they can really focus on the content expertise that they have and administering the programs related to the grants that they are required to implement. So as you can see on this slide, last year the majority of grants that we administered here in the district fully or adequately met their programmatic and fiscal progress goals. So the color coding that you see within the chart for grants that fully met their programmatic and fiscal progress goals, they met all of their deadlines, they met all of their program goals, as well as having between 80 to 100% of spend down. Yellow took those different criteria into adequately met. And then they had spend down between 50 to 84% on track by the funding period end date. And then red were the grants that require a little bit more focus and didn't have the programmatic or the fiscal spend that we were really looking for. Okay, next slide, please, Tom. So we've used the data that we just shared over the past several years to compare our grant administration to the two key performance indicators or KPIs that are suggested by the Council of Great City Schools. So the first one is that KPI that focuses on the percentage of grant funds within the budget that comprise the district's overall budget. So you can see year over year for the past 6 years, we've been right on par with what the council recommends, which is for that percentage to be between 11 to 13% of the district's budget. And then the second KPI that we're looking at is associated with how much funding remains unspent at the end of a funding period per $100,000 of grant awards funded. There's a vast range when you look at the benchmark data in the Managing for Results that the Council of Great City Schools puts out every year, with some districts ranging from leaving $202 per 100,000 on the table, all the way up to some districts leaving $51,000 per $100,000 of grant funding available. So you can see our progress. We've made slow but steady progress throughout the past 6 years that this department has been in existence, with a slight dip in the 24-25 school year last year. In looking into what could potentially have been a root cause of that dip, we've noted that a couple factors, including the federal government funding freezes that we experienced last year, was a factor, as well as the cutover and implementation of the district's new financial management system. Okay, next slide, please, Tom. So I wanted to share a couple notable highlights from our grant administration during the 24-25 school year. With your support, we've really been able to deepen our program evaluation department and repository within the district, both internally and with our partnership with Gibson Consulting, which is our external program evaluation partner. So last year, we were able to complete 12 formal program evaluation projects of programs that were funded with grant dollars. So topics that were researched or evaluated include chronic absenteeism, provision of social-emotional supports to students, including research brief on help zones, a research brief on literacy programming in the district, and then an evaluation of the district's summer learning programs, which will be coming forth in the upcoming months. The proposed research and evaluation agenda for 25-26 includes 15 projects, and topics are in the process of being finalized with the new administration in alignment with district priority and the strategic plan priorities. The second notable highlight I wanted to mention tonight has to do with the volatility of the federal funding streams that we've experienced in the past year. Our district has been actively monitoring federal policy and its impact on grant funding within the district. So every quarter, our grant portfolio is reviewed against existing policy and information that we're receiving in technical assistance meetings with the Council of Great City Schools, NYSED, as well as other state funding agencies. We take that information and then we've been compiling it to inform some decision-making and to begin to develop and generate some draft contingency plans so that we can sustain programming or scale programming moving forward in the event of funding cuts or freezes. That being said, as we all know, the current landscape at the federal level is quite fluid, so we're making best decisions daily based on the information we have available and at hand at any given time. Next slide, please. So that's kind of a summary of 24-25. And looking into 25-26, we're kind of only through quarter one of this year. And what you see here is just the composition of our district's budget in in regards to the general fund, the special aid fund, and the school food service fund. And you can see again, we're right on track with what the Council of Great City Schools has put forward as what would constitute a healthy grant portfolio within any given school district's budget, with the benchmark being between 11 and 13%. And then finally, this slide summarizes the grant activity that's been undertaken in this quarter. And if you take a look at the timeline that's mentioned after the title of the slide, that actually should read from 7/1 to 9/30. So in that time period, we've had 2 competitive grants awarded. We have 9 grants currently under review. We had 3 grants not awarded or dropped. 4 total, 3 not awarded and 1 dropped. And then we haven't had any grants in that quarter under development because that during that time frame is typically when we've been very busy in developing grants and then submitting them to funders for review. So if you look at the attachments, there's several documents that have further detail about the different categories of grants that are listed on this slide. Next slide, Tom. We have built out a comprehensive website with information about the different aspects of the Office of Grants and Program Accountability, our administration of grant funds and ESSA-funded programs, as well as our research and evaluation framework. So I encourage everyone to take a look, and I am happy to take any questions at this time.
Yeah. So thank you very much, Ms. Pecor, for your thorough report. One of the things I want to highlight that Ms. Pecor spoke to is the reliance on federal grants. I was at a conference earlier this year, and it was shared with us that while there still may be grant applications out there, that school districts should not place a lot of confidence that those grants will be awarded. And for grants that we currently have, that there is also a likelihood that those dollars may not be appropriated as awarded. So that's one of the things I just want to make sure that we are mindful of, because as we are all, as school districts, journeying down a path that is quite unique in the history of current civilization, our United States. It's just important that we recognize that the federal funding stream may take a turn, and a turn for the worse, unfortunately. Any questions?
Thank you. Vice President?
Thank you. So that was actually my exact question. I just was wondering about federal impacts and what we could expect. The good news, I guess, is that we do have a healthy fund balance to make up for that type of thing.
Yes, we do, but we just need to be mindful of the entire pie. So while the federal funding might have an impact on the funding that we receive, there's also other variables that may play into shortfalls for this upcoming school year.
Okay, thank you.
And I shouldn't say shortfalls, decreased revenue streams for this upcoming year.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm thinking about the anticipation of escalating healthcare costs
Yep.
and the benefits and all of that good stuff. Yeah, and so Title I, II, III, and IV, a lot of things are going to be impacted potentially under Title I.
Under the title grants, yes, that we have not received any confirmation of Ms. Pecor. I know that you've been in conversations with our colleagues at the Council of Great City Schools. Have you received any updates as to where title stands for this upcoming year and what some of the conversations are?
All of the information we get from the Council of Great City Schools as well as NYSED is kind of things are in flux. We're okay for 25, 26, and we're not quite sure what the future holds, which rolls back to some of the reliance I think that we're going to have moving into upcoming budget years on that program evaluation so that we can determine how we're getting the best bang for our buck, what programs have been really effective and are good value in terms of cost, as well as that contingency planning by leveraging some of the funding sources that we know are most stable. So for example, information that we received from Council of Great City Schools and NICED indicate that there's no appetite to reduce or eliminate Title I funding per se. Some of the other titles might be a little bit more volatile, but if we can figure out, developing plans where we leverage our ability to be flexible within Title I funding, scale our programs appropriately, and move them forward, then I think we're doing our due diligence and making sure we're being responsible and reactive to the changing climate.
Thank you, Commissioner Patterson.
I don't have any questions for you. I just want to say thank you. I know that your office does a lot of work. And the grant writing is very difficult. I'm aware of, not personally that I've done it, but I've spoken to individuals that written grants for other programs that I ran. But, I normally get around and say, thank you, and I will be getting around the entire building prior to Christmas, and which I routinely do, and just saying thank you. But I would also like to say that the reason I haven't been around, when you have faith in the leadership, then I don't really foresee issues and problems, that I think I have to go around and say thank you for the job that you do. I think, we've given the superintendent that autonomy to do the job. I truly believe he's doing a well job. I love the team that he's built. I have faith in them. So just because I'm not coming around saying thank you for what you do, it doesn't mean I'm not thankful for what you do.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions regarding the presentation for Superintendent Rosser? Okay.
And just as I close out, one of the things that we will continuously do, and it may not be Ms. Pecor, but I will continuously keep the board abreast and our community abreast as to what the federal landscape is looking like for the 26-27 school year when we receive information. Thank you, Ms. Pecor, for all that you do.
Thank you.
Never mind. It's okay. That's fine.
And so we have the building utilization framework, Superintendent?
Yes, so there's going to be a number of individuals who present this evening. I want to ask Chief Scott if he can come up to the podium, as well as Chief Wilson if she can come up to the podium. I'm going to be interjecting as well as we go through this presentation. So as Chief Scott makes his way to and he's going to be first up the bat, as he makes his way up to the podium, I want to sort of share with the board that it is imperative that as we look at this upcoming year, that we look to make sure that we're reducing our expenditures, and that we are also aligning all of our work to fall underneath the priorities that can be found in our strategic plan. Next slide, please. So tonight's presentation is going to really revolve around three areas: operational efficiency, which is priority number 5 under our strategic plan; instructional excellence, which is priority 1; and strengthening school family engagement, which is priority 4. The presentation is going to speak to reducing expenditures, particularly at Hart Street. As all of our board members know, and our community may or may not know, that we currently lease space at Hart Street, and we're looking to vacate portions of the lease agreement for this upcoming year. In order for us to do so, we will most certainly need to identify areas in which certain departments will then be placed that are within the buildings in which we maintain currently. The presentation is also going to speak to aligning resources to programming under instructional excellence, and I see that we have our wonderful pre-K department here to answer any questions that may arise through this presentation. We're looking to expand our pre-K services, most certainly prepping our youngest learners for life. And then lastly, and Chief Wilson will be speaking to this, we're looking to strengthen our school family engagement by expanding opportunities for collaboration and services to families. What Chief Scott is going to be providing an update on is our facilities modernization program, which there's language under our strategic plan, priority number 5. And Chief Scott, why don't you go ahead?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Roster. Good evening, commissioners. I'd like to just give a brief update on just where we currently stand with Rochester School Modernization Program, which is Phase 3 construction. This Phase 3 plan includes 6 of our schools. School number 9, Wilson Commencement, Padilla High School at the Franklin campus, East High School, Edison, and the Douglas campus. Much of the work outlined in this phase focuses heavily on the mechanical, electrical, and infrastructure improvements. These are the systems that basically serve as like the backbone of our facilities, which includes heating, ventilation, electrical distribution, plumbing, and our structural integrity in each of our buildings. This work is very critical, just in ensuring that our buildings remain safe, functional, and sustainable for generations to come. To put things into perspective, many of these facilities are reaching significant milestones in age. I think it's important for me to just kind of give that brief as well. Wilson Commencement, which was built in 1903, that's 122 years old. That building is 122 years old, which is our oldest building currently in our portfolio. Padilla at the Franklin campus is 97 years old. East High is 68 years old. The Douglas campus is 59 years old. The current location of where Edison is right now on Colfax is 46 years old. And school number 9 is 50 years old. So these modernization efforts are essential to extending the life of each one of our buildings to hopefully, ideally, have another 100 years while improving both learning in these environments, both for our students and also our staff. At this time, currently, we have placed a soft pause on the design, on the construction activities as we await the results of our demographic and enrollment projections, which the state has required for us to submit. This submission is expected to be completed before Thanksgiving, the Thanksgiving break, after which we'll await state feedback to determine our next steps. In terms of building relocations during our construction during this phase, school number 9 will relocate to the Jefferson campus. Wilson Commencement will relocate to the Marshall campus. Padilla High School at Franklin, Edison Tech, and East High School will all remain in their buildings during construction, which we will work very carefully as we phase in and minimize limited disruption during that time. Once school number 9 returns to its modernized building after their construction, the Douglas campus will occupy the Jefferson site during its construction phase. So overall, this work represents a very major investment, of course, in the long-term future of our school facilities, and basically ensuring that each building remains a strong, sustainable space for teaching and learning, and will modernize the learning for our students as well.
So one of the things that is going to be critically important that the board makes a decision on, and there will be a recommendation that I will bring forward, is around the Frederick Douglass campus. It's my understanding that last year there was a move to close Northwest Middle School, but then the board opted to keep it open at least for another year. So I do recognize that a recommendation will need to be brought forward in which we will need to have some conversations on either merging Northwest Middle School with Andrew Langston Middle School or phasing, well, 3 steps, either merging Northwest Middle School with Andrew Langston Middle School or phasing Northwest Middle School out to eventually just simply be Andrew Langston Middle School. So I wanted to sort of raise that because now is the time in which we need to have those conversations and that a decision needs to be made because we need to make sure that as per our policy, we are most certainly working to inform those communities and we're doing our due diligence so that no later than March 1st, we can then submit paperwork to New York State Education Department with our intentions on what's going to happen with Northwest Middle School. Any questions before we move to the next portion of our conversation? We have one down there.
Commissioner Santiago?
Yeah, I just have a quick question specifically, and this is one of the schools I liaison over, but it was told to me that they would be included in this upcoming facility modernization program, but specifically for the Loretta Johnson Middle School, who's currently, of course, having issues in their schools with black mold. I know that at the moment it was told to me that that will be in the upcoming facility modernization program to fix that from the gym area, the locker rooms, and the weight section of the school. And I don't see it on the list here, and so I'm just asking for clarification around that.
Good question.
Yes.
Chief Scott can most certainly speak to your question.
Yes, Commissioner Santiago, actually, that work is being done this upcoming summer, but that's part of our capital improvement project. So those are different dollars. FMP is just a different phase. So our CIP projects that we do every summer are very quick projects that we're able to do during the summertime. And Loretta Johnson is slated to start the work in the pool area during this particular summer. So that is correct, but it's just under a different funding source.
And do you believe that that will be able to get done? And how much are you guys usually budgeting for a school for that? Because I know for this system, because it's been kind of not focused on, the repairs that could have been possibly $10,000 coming from our budget is now going to be a lot more than that. And so is it just a promise, or do you expect that this will be done this upcoming summer?
Oh, yeah, we've already slated and have contractors in place for that work. We were trying to get it done last summer, but we just could not find the contractors to take care of it at that time. But we do have slated contractors to start this upcoming summer for that work over at Loretta Johnson. So that's certainly going to take place. And it'll probably take the summer and maybe half of the school year to get finished. But certainly I'll make sure that I keep you and the board updated as to how that progresses.
And we're speaking about the pool, correct?
Yes,
Yes.
correct.
And so is that just the pool area? Because the pool, the locker room, and the weight room? Or is it just for the pool area?
It's just for the pool area, but any other spaces that are affected that or may need some attention, we'll certainly do that as well. Yeah. I mean, over at Loretta Johnson, we just finished the press box that was just put over, and that was through our CIP dollars as well, along with the new vestibule security entrance that we also put over at Loretta Johnson that just got finished this past summer. And all those were through capital improvement. But
no, I just want to say it's really important. I haven't been able, and I'm done. I haven't been able to talk, to fully talk to the board specifically about this, but I have been hearing about the black mold that has been growing in that area for almost a year and a half now, and have been asking prior superintendents, current superintendents, not current, I talked to the current superintendent recently, but have been asking about this situation for a long time. So thank you.
Yeah, and we'll take a look at, because of my understanding that the area in question, particularly with the allegation of black mold, is solely isolated to the pool area, which is not accessible. However, we will look into those other areas as well.
I've seen it with my own eyes, so I just want to let you know.
All right.
That'll be, any other questions for the presentation to Superintendent Rosser?
Yeah. So the next slide, please. So as we mentioned, one of the things that's going to be critically important that as we look at moving toward developing our 26-27 budget, as I mentioned earlier, is reducing our expenditures. Currently, at Hart Street, we have a number of different offices and programs that are located there, and myself and the team have been working really hard to try to, as I mentioned earlier, reduce our expenditures by vacating portions of our lease where those dollars are being currently paid to a landlord, and seeing how we might be able to relocate some of these programs and offices to buildings in which we currently maintain at no cost to the district. So at at Hart Street, we have Oasis. Oasis would remain. The Office of Professional Learning, we're looking to move that for the 26-27 school year. Home and Hospital, we're looking to move that for the 26-27 school year. Youth and Justice Program, we're looking to move that for the 26-27 school year. The Office of Attendance may move this year. McKinsey-Vento would move for the 26-27 school year. An External Education Program office would potentially move either this year or next year. One of the things that we also need to be mindful of is the Rochester International Academy. Currently, they're the only program that's currently at our Jefferson site. And as per the New York State Department of Education, it is critically important that students who are participating in the RIA program, that they do have access and that they are co-located with students who may not fit the demographics that the RIA program accepts. So we are looking at right now at places that we might be able to relocate the RIA program, particularly given with what Chief Scott just spoke to with School 9 occupying that building for this upcoming year. And School 44. School 44 currently has all adults for the most part. We have pre-K and special education staff currently in that building, and we will be looking to relocate those individuals into a new building for next year. Next slide. So as it relates to our instructional excellence priority, of course, we're looking to expand our pre-K services. We all know that the earlier children come to us, the more likely that they will have greater success in the school environment, given the opportunity for professionals to be able to work very closely with our youngest learners and provide them with instruction and preparation so that they can handle the rigors of kindergarten. Currently, we have Rochester Early Childhood Education Center, better known as RECES, which currently exists on Clinton Street. There's been a number of concerns about this particular program and its location. And what we're proposing is that this school year, that we do move that program over to School 39, which is a vacant building. What we would be looking to do with School 39 is to establish an early childhood education center where we would then be able to place not only RECES, but we would also be able to place additional pre-K classes in that building. It will also provide us the ability to take existing pre-K classes that are consuming some of our schools where there's very tight and limited space for programming for many of our K through 5 students, and also place some of those class sections over at RECES as well. What we would be looking to do with RECES is to provide greater opportunities for adult education programming to happen in that building. We would be looking to place a food pantry into that building, establish a parent resource center in that building, and also to provide an opportunity for the clothing section of McKinsey-Vento to also be located in that building. Once we're able to place the early childhood program over at School 39, we will be looking to take the staff from School 44 and place those staff members, co-locate those staff members at School 39. And it would be appropriate and aligned because currently the pre-K program that they support are district-wide and that they would be co-located among pre-K students. We would then take the Office of Professional Learning, and we would co-locate or relocate the Office of Professional Learning to School 44. And School 44 would then become our professional development center. As you heard me state earlier, we would be looking to create a parent center, and I'm going to turn it over to Chief Wilson to speak a little bit about the work that we're doing with the Office of Parent Engagement.
Thank you. Good evening, President Simmons, Dr. Rosser, Commissioners. I'm excited to talk to you about an opportunity to expand our parent engagement office. And so we're going to look to transform the former Swan space at Loretta Johnson Middle School into a parent engagement center. This is aligned with our strategic plan and strengthening family and community engagement. We want to make the hub welcoming, designed to be proactive and support our families and parents, which will ultimately impact our students. The redesigned space will offer a range of opportunities for parents and caregivers, including things like parent workshops, training sessions focused on academic support, leadership, advocacy, spaces for community organizations to come in and host programs, connect with families, provide local resources, on-site counseling, centers where there's confidentiality rooms where we can have family support services provided in collaboration with the district and community partners. We look to also hold or house a food pantry to meet the immediate needs of our family, and a parent resource library. So wherever we find a need, we collect the resource and provide materials for parents once they visit. Looking ahead, we envision developing a sustainable parent engagement center model that can be replicated across the district. So we might have a space at Loretta Johnson, but on the west side, we'll also provide, am I right about the sides? Thank you. Learning Rochester, just want to make sure I had the sides correct. But on the west side, we would also open up a parent engagement center, so there's two options. We do have the space here at Central office that we'll continue to utilize until we have established a system that supports our parents across Rochester City.
And if I can just add real quick too, so with the McKinney-Vento program, currently the McKinney-Vento program is occupying space at Hart Street Oasis. There's a disconnect because many of our families are coming down here to central registration to register their children. Once parents notify district staff that they're experiencing homelessness, then those parents many times have to then go over to Hart Street to then receive services. So what we're talking about doing is aligning and making sure that those families, many of which may have transportation insecurities, that they will have a one-stop shop once they come to central office to register for school. Go ahead.
Yes, and just the follow-up, communication will be the key to make sure that families understand where to go for support. So we'll make sure we're working closely with Chief Lopez and her team to ensure that we put the proper messaging out so parents know where to go for support.
So at this point in time, we will open it up for questions for our board commissioners.
Thank you. And so I'll go over to Vice President Malloy.
First of all, thank you so much for the presentation, and I am in full support of all of this. I think initially I had reservations about moving Reese's. It's right next to an RTS transportation hub, but then the intended purpose of that space becoming something else that makes it more accessible, I think, to a broader number of people in our community. I just really like this idea that we're going to eventually have two separate parent centers, and food pantry expansion is really key and needed right now, especially. But when do we anticipate that all of this is going to be in place for next year?
So we're still working out some of the particulars, of course, as it relates to parents who have children currently at Reese's. We do need to notify them of what our intentions are and then provide them with an opportunity either to accept transitioning over to School 39 or provide them with other opportunities. And Dr. Thomas, do you want to speak a little bit to what that process would look like for our parents at Reese's?
So good evening, commissioners, good evening, chiefs, and good evening, Madam Clerk. So we definitely want to be able to reach out to our parents to give them an opportunity first. We're excited that we're able to move Reese out of that area. and have an opportunity to expand our preschool program. We're also excited that our supports at School 44 will all be together with that center because consulting happens, assessments happen at School 44, but not everything will be together in the center, so it will be an opportunity for our parents also to have access to the northeast side of the city. We have very limited centers in that area and supports in that area for our preschool scholars. We do have a draft of what it would look like. It would involve our coaches working extra time during the month of December to get classrooms set. We are ready to go. We've drafted a plan and shared it with Dr. Rosser and Deputy Superintendent Dr. Wright. We're excited about this opportunity and actually have been advocating for this opportunity since last year. So we're ready to go. We just need the draft approved, and we're ready to put things in motion.
Yeah, and I'm really excited about School 39 because when you look at Reese's right now, there's a very small playground that's available for our children. If you walk into the building, inside our children, recreational time is really done in the classroom. And by relocating Reese's over to School 39, they will have access to a gym. They will have access to a ton of green space.
Yes.
And it's really a great opportunity for us to make sure that the district's youngest learners are in a space that is conducive to their own development as well as their own learning as well.
Agree.
Love that. Commissioner Santiago?
Yeah, I just want to start off by saying I'm happy to see all these the plans that's been presented tonight. I think that it's good for accessibility. It's good to continue collaboration or try to promote more collaboration between our parents and our community and the district. And the food pantry expansion project, of course, I put my support 1,000% behind that. I just have a quick question.
Yes.
And this is just for context about Loretta Johnson and the Swan, using the Swan space. About a year or two ago, we made a vote. We voted for a partnership with YMCA in that space. I don't believe that program has ever started. I think that there's been conversations of that programming being started. So my question is that program just not going to be there anymore, or are we just going to share space with YMCA?
Yeah, I'm unfamiliar with that vote. Yeah, I'm highly unfamiliar with that vote. And if there is a vote on the books that we need to then implement, I need time to review that and probably go back to the drawing board because we've been making our plans to expand opportunities for our families. It does not mean that community partnership won't happen because as a part of our work with the community schools, we are looking to have Loretta Johnson, that space at Loretta Johnson serve as a parent center. And then what has not been disclosed yet, but we're working on, is to provide opportunities after hours and even on Saturdays for community partnerships to come into that space in the gymnasium space to then be able to provide not only our parents opportunities, but our children with opportunities as well.
Yeah, but yeah, so just for, we did vote on that not so long ago. It was signed, there was a whole thing about that. So yeah, just a warning, just to let you know. But other than that, I'm excited to see what comes of all this. Thank you.
That popped in my mind as well, but I was going to follow up with maybe legal counsel to find out what maybe there's information that's happened that we're not aware of. So thank you, Commissioner Santiago. I do want to go with Commissioner Patterson.
Thank you. Personally, I'm not going to hold you to, what occurred within any other administration. I love what I'm seeing here as far as change and growth. One thing I did mention with the last leadership, administrative leadership, was the pre-K program that I thought we could be doing more in that area to have our kids reading in third grade. That's where we were losing them from what the data, told us. So I love what I'm seeing as far as, the center, this Reese Center, and bringing all these things together as far as collaboration, to really hopefully grow, kids beginning in pre-K. So when they get to third grade, they're already on grade level. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Patterson. Any other questions or comments for discussion? With none, Superintendent Rosser?
No, I really want to thank everyone for their hard work and effort. As I have come into the district, there have been a number of individuals, particularly our pre-K friends, who have been advocating for the school district to expand pre-K programming, making sure that our children in pre-K are in a safe environment, and also, to the work that they've been doing. They've been really doing a great job with providing greater opportunities for our youngest learners to be kindergarten ready. So I want to publicly acknowledge the hard work and effort that our two ladies and their entire team have been engaged in. I go to community events, and their team members are always there recruiting and making sure that parents of children who are either 3 years old or 4 years old understand the opportunity that the Rochester City School District is offering. I also want to publicly acknowledge, of course, Chief Scott for his continued work on making sure that our buildings reflect our values and provides children and our staff with 21st century environments that is conducive to learning and instruction. So thank you very much.
Thank you. At this time, we're going to move into our resolution review. And these are considerations for resolutions 260 through 266 for consideration for our consent agenda. So at this time, I'd like to entertain discussion around resolutions 260 through 266. No discussion? No questions, you said? Okay, all right. I do have one question, more or less a statement. So it looks like Resolution 260 really aligns with the presentation we saw this evening around our programmatic impact, and that would be the purpose of this particular resolution, something that we've done historically and are looking to move forward with in assessing, again, how our programs are impacting us, how sustainably functional we are fiscally, and also helping us to make decisions around program continuation. So I'm happy to see this aligning with actual efforts that administration is working on, with no discussion on, further discussion with resolutions 260 through 266, entertaining a motion to move these resolutions forward to the business agenda.
So moved.
Moved by Vice President Malloy, seconded by Commissioner Patterson. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it, and the resolution carries. And with that, we're going to announce the next policy items for review. And those will be, this will be next month during the board will review policies 6150, which are budget transfers, 6240 investments, 6500 being fund balance, and 6700 the purchasing policy. And so if for our public or folks looking to provide feedback on any of the policies mentioned, please review Policy 2410 Exhibit 1. And for full access to the full policy manual, you can find that at www.rcsdk12.org/policy. With no further agenda items for this evening's work session, entertaining a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Moved by Vice President Malloy, seconded by Commissioner Santiago. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Good night.
Can I make one announcement?
Oh, before we say good night,
still-
Superintendent Ross, are we still on?
Okay, so one of the things I want to invite our entire community out to is our budget forum for our community. This is an opportunity for our community, of course, to learn more about our budgeting process, but more importantly, for our community to be able to help inform the district's budget priorities. Tomorrow, Wednesday, November 5th, starting at 6 p.m., we will be at Abraham Lincoln School number 22. We will be providing a report or a presentation on the budgeting process. I will be engaging our community in conversations around what our vision for education is and collecting from our community on what their vision and what they believe priorities should be for the 26-27 budget. So I'm inviting all of our community members, our parents, our caregivers, our staff members out there to be able to have a voice in what our priorities will be for this upcoming year. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.